Hi Diamonds, it's Sherah here, your Star Director, and we are up to day 8 of our Leap to Lead program. Today I want to talk to you about a really precious resource and the importance of using that wisely, and that is our time. When we work from home, we need to be able to balance our family life with our business life. And for most of us, when we get really busy, if we're disorganized, if there's clutter around our homes, things like that, it tends to cause feelings of being stressed, overwhelmed, and even absolutely exhausted. And when that happens, our families suffer. It escalates too because when we work at home and our families at home, it kind of puts the two together. And it's really important when we work from home, if we want both to work well together, that we set boundaries. Joining Sensi, a lot of us, our driving force for joining and for doing Sensi is our family. So if that's the case for you, then that needs to be your first priority. Scheduling in quality time first into your calendars is really important. You need to schedule in your daily, weekly, monthly, and even annual events like your holidays. And like, for example, each day, have those special times or sacred times where you turn the phone off or you turn notifications off and sound off so that you're not getting any interruptions. Things like bedtime and meal times. If you're going on date night with your kids or your significant other, turn your phone off then as well. I know my husband, if ever I answer a call or I'm on my phone texting back to somebody, he will just look at me and say, "Can you just not turn that off?" And yeah, it's made me realise that he just wants me in that time, that's his time, and I need to be able to switch off from work. So being able to set boundaries now is going to really help your family feel positive about your business and more supportive of it. I also like to have a day off each week. I choose Sundays for my day off. That's our family day. I don't just not work. I also avoid doing all sorts of other things so that we can just focus on being a family, which we find is very helpful. Time to yourself is also really important, and finding that balance as well where you are able to make sure you get exercise, some alone time, relaxation, working a hobby, or enjoying a hobby, I should say. But there's always things that we have to do, lots of tasks, whether it's at home or with our business. So rather than focusing on time management, because I find time management, even if you can get it all done a lot quicker, we just tend to fill it up with other things. I have started focusing on task management, and I'd encourage you to do the same, because when you're doing things more efficiently, the tasks more efficiently, you then have time to just relax and do the things that aren't on the list, which is really nice for everybody. Now, whether you're a mum or not, there's always other jobs that need doing. You've got your household chores, cooking, driving, just to name a few. And it's really helpful if you can work smarter instead of harder. We find that by sharing the load amongst all of our family, that both my husband and I and our children, according to their ages, will be able to do things like the cooking and helping the taxiing around of other kids. I've got older kids that drive, and with household chores, a job chart's fantastic for the little ones. Especially, actually the teenagers need one too, and sweetening the deal with some pocket money or a reward or a date night with them, something that they can earn and work towards, is also very helpful. Running your personal life efficiently is really a really effective way to create time for both your family and your business as well. I find multitasking second nature. I do it all the time without even realising. Things like listening to recordings of trainings or great audios while I'm driving or doing the dishes, doing lunch boxes the night before while I've already got stuff out from dinner, or making extra dinners so I've got extras for lunch or another meal, and then it's just the one cleaner. I like to record my favourite TV shows, and that way I can fast forward the ads. It's just more efficient. And I always do folding or something while I'm doing it, which is great. Other little things that create more time in the day is setting the alarm earlier to just get up, even if it's 15 minutes earlier a day or an hour earlier. You've got that extra time, especially before kids are up, that you can get things done without the interruptions. Shopping online or in bulk, paying your bills automatically. And this is one that I'm really enjoying and will enjoy to do more, is to hire others to do anything that costs less than you can earn through working your business. If you can get your ironing done for you, or your car cleaned, or your house cleaned, all of those things are fantastic. And again, if you can put that through to your business as well, that you can hire someone, whether it's an older child that you have, or a kid down the street, or a niece or nephew who'd be willing to work for even $10 an hour to do your emails, or entering party orders, or even just labeling bars, things like that. That's money well spent, because you can earn more yourself through doing other activities to generate the income. And you will get to a point that you will look at doing that. So keep that in mind for your business as well. Practicing and saying no. And what I mean by that is not to feel embarrassed or guilty when you do need to say no. Don't feel you have to say yes to everything. Because we work from home, sometimes people feel that you're available to look after their children while they have an appointment, or to just go out for lunch or catch up for a movie through the day. And those things are fantastic. But if you have committed to working in those hours, then you need to be able to say no. And, you can really politely say, thank you so much for thinking of me, but I just can't take the time off work right now. And if they respond, well, I thought you worked from home, or you work for yourself, you say, yeah, I do, and that's why I have to be super disciplined. Also volunteering. I find that if I'm asked to do anything, or I see a need, I tend to be the one to be like, yep, I'll do it. I'm learning to let other people do it as well, let them have a turn, and to not volunteer for positions that are going to take a lot of my time and could deplete from my family or my business. So being able to say no to that in those times, you don't have to worry. You're not going to offend people. You just find a way to say it, really politely to them. But it's okay to say no. The successful leaders that are up the top of, in the top 1% of the direct selling industry, they're enjoying income and the rewards that flow from being at the top of the compensation plan by not multitasking. Now, I'm sure they do it in their personal lives, but when it comes to business, you need to avoid multitasking. So, great for household stuff, chores and things like that, but please avoid multitasking in your business. And this has been hard for me because, like I said, it's second nature to me. When we eliminate or cut back on time-wasting activities and tasks, especially those ones that don't get results, and we spend the bulk of our time on activities that generate income, of course we're going to be more successful when it comes to business. Something that really helps is making sure that we're organised. If we have clutter in our home, get rid of it. Sell it, take it to the dump, relocate it to another area of the house. I had lots of kitchen appliances on my bench, and I just felt like my kitchen was never tidy, and it kind of caused stress for me. So I ended up relocating it into my garage. I have a nice kitchen bench in there. For some reason, when we bought the house, there were kitchen cupboards in one area of the garage. So the bench in there has all my appliances now, and that's where I leave them. If I'm cooking rice or toasties, I go out into the garage and do it there. It keeps the heat out there. And guess what? My benches are nice and clear most of the time. It's so much easier to keep tidy because they're not cluttered. And when it comes to your workspace, when that's organised, you're going to have less distractions, and you will be able to focus on the task at hand. So it's worth spending the time to get your workspace and your home organised and rid of clutter, so that you are able to work more efficiently. It's important to, like I said, we've got a diary or a calendar. That was one of the first things I got you to get, but it's good to have two. Keep them separate. Keep your calendar or diary for your personal life, your family's life, and your business separate. When you go to the doctors, you wouldn't like to see when they're booking in your appointment, all the doctor's appointments and kids' appointments in there. You'd kind of think, well, that's not very professional. It's the same for us. Keep them separate, so when we're booking parties in, it's separate. And also, you can block off the time that you will be working. And in your family's one, if things come up like a sports carnival, I'm not going to miss that. I that's one of the reasons I want to be a stay-at-home working mum, is because then when those things come up, I can do it. But because my hours are flexible but not optional, I will make sure that I do that later on in the day or in the evening. And through school holidays and while my husband's had time off work, I didn't want to miss out on those times either. But I certainly didn't let my business suffer. I worked through the nights. I got things done at night time and were able to enjoy time with them in the daytime. So having those separate calendars, when your business one, highlight all the dates you're available to do parties 6 weeks in advance, and try and always keep it 6 weeks in advance. So each week, do another week off, and try and only fill parties in those 6 weeks, in those highlighted periods. You're going to have those hosts that want to book right out and keep booking out. That's totally fine, and of course you'll accommodate to them, but we want to try and get as many parties in closer and be building out from there and just keep getting it further and further out. But if you can fill your 6 weeks in, fantastic. Another thing in your work diary is to mark in those period of times for any promotions that Sense is offering, your incentive trip qualification period, your annual awards, your sale and mentor I'm talking about. So if you know when they are, you're able to keep track of those and more likely to achieve them if you've got them in front of you. Also enter in team meetings, training calls, events that are coming up, and obviously to set the hours that you're going to work. We said you might, some tips there I've heard, which are great, is you might do 4 15-minute work blocks through the day if you're struggling to concentrate. I've heard of people doing the power hour, which is great and works really well. Sample Saturday, it's a really good idea too, if you're doing something like a power hour, to get your calls out of the way first while you've still got energy and feeling like, you know, good to go, as opposed to getting all these other things doing. You might feel a bit tired towards the end and you're not even making those calls tired. On speaking of calls, your phone is one of the most important assets and in your business, and you need to be making calls. Your bookings, whether it's parties or business meetings, things like that, they are the blood of your business, and without continuing to get more and more of those appointments scheduled, then your business isn't going to do too well. So you need to be making sure you are making calls, and a good rule of thumb is 10 calls a day. Mary Christensen gave the tip of putting 10 bangles on one side of your arm, and you just, every call you make, you pop it onto the other. Now look, if they can't answer, send the text to them then, but you've got customers, you'll have team members, all sorts of calls you'll need to make for different reasons, whether it's letting know promos or talking to, doing host coaching, things like that, or training of your new recruit. You need to be aim to make at least 10 calls a day. Another good point is to remove all distractions. So when you're working and you can set it up, if you've got little ones, when they're asleep, that's when you work because it's nice and quiet. Or turn the TV off, or put your phone onto silent, or turn notifications off. Make sure your desk is nice and clear so you don't have things on there to distract you and to distract you from what you're doing. Again, that's just being organised and clutter-free. I find a to-do list really helpful. I got one nearby. Not often that's not nearby to me. But what I do is basically I try to do my list for the next day, the day before. I find that this helps me switch off at night and go to sleep quicker because I'm not worried about remembering to do these things. I know that it's taken care of and my brain can just relax. I will highlight the highest priority tasks to do them first. I number things 1 through to however many I've got so that I am checking off the most highest priority first and not moving on to the next until the other one. So I'm focusing on one thing at a time, not multitasking, trying to get lots of things done at once. Don't be a paper hoarder. When you have something there in front of you, deal with it, delegate it, or discard it. Don't do things like obsessively checking your emails or a status that you've posted to see how many likes you've got or comments. Have a time set up that you will look at your social media, but limit that time. And what's going to happen is going to happen. So constantly obsessively checking things like that is just a big time waster. And another great tip for running your business is to send more text messages as opposed to emails. There is a place for emails, but text messages, they are going to get it straight away. Pretty much guaranteed they're going to be reading it, if not instantly. it will be something that will definitely be read. It's not easy to avoid a text message, whereas emails, you can just skim over them and just open what you want. When it comes to phones, I mentioned that they're pretty important. I use them for all sorts of things. When I was talking about not being a paper hoarder, if it's something that I know that I need, instead of having to search for a piece of paper, I like to just take a photo of that note, and then once it's dealt with, I get rid of the photo, and then I know where to find it all the time. So you might find that helpful as well. Another thing I like to do too is with my contacts, when I'm entering them, I put their first and last name in the first name column of my phone, and then in the last name I put where it is that I know them, or from what party, or if they're a customer that I've gotten from whoever or from online or whatever. I make sure I've got those notes purely so that if they call me, then their name comes up first and last name. So normally it's first and last, but because I've got so much information in it, it's coming across first and last name, but then it tells me how I know them. So when I pick up the phone, I can say, "Hi, Jane," and I know where I know them from, and in my notes I like to make notes about them, so how many children they've got, or the names of their children if I've learnt that information. So after I meet someone, I like to put information in my phone about them. If you're in my team, I'm sure I have information on you in my phone as well, because I don't have the best memory in the world, but I want to, and by doing that I do start to learn to remember those things, and before long I do know those things about you, and it comes naturally. But with all your customers, you will get a lot, and it's important that you, it's just good customer service to know their names and to remember things about them, so that you can say, how was your trip, or whatever. They do really appreciate that personal touch too in your business. You can also, don't feel like you have to answer every call. You can see who's calling you, and if it's not the best time, you're able to, just do that text that says, "Can I give you a call later?" If it's people that like to talk a lot on the phone to you, or if the conversation is dragging out, you can just say something like, if it's been a bit of time and you're like, "Oh, how am I going to get off this call?" You can say, "Oh, I'm taking too much of your time. I'm going to let you go." Or, when it's those people that just keep talking, and you know that when you answer the call, they're going to just make it a long call, you can say, "Oh, it's so great to hear from you. What can I help you with today?" And help them get straight to the point that they're calling you for, as opposed to, all the chat that goes on before. And I'm talking that's when you're busy or in your time that you're working, so that you are able to deal with that efficiently. Procrastinating. I hear often people say things like, "Oh, I will get to that once the holidays are finished," or "when my child starts school," or "I've got visitors staying, I'm not able to do that." There will never be a perfect time to work your business. As long as you're doing something every day to grow your business, and if you're unable to do it at certain times of the day because things are on when those things are happening, to do it at night time, then your business is still going to grow. So keep in mind, do something each day to grow your business. Another good something that's worked for us in our family is to involve my family in the Scentsy business. My children are fantastic Scentsy bar labellers. When new products arrive, I like to video them opening them or getting excited about it, and then I can put them on my Facebook page or use them for promos, things like that. And they love that because they're helping mummy with the business. And I like to, my younger kids or even my older girls, I take them to my parties and they'll help me pack up and things like that. And I might give them $10 for coming with me, or shout them an ice cream on the way home. But that's nice time they get to spend with me. But they feel a part of it and they take ownership in it as well. And if you have a significant other who, like mine, has numerous strengths, I take advantage of those strengths by getting him to run certain parts of my business that he just does so much quicker and better than I can, which obviously he's involved in that, invested in it doing well. So if you can involve your partners, I highly recommend that. And another thing you can do too is brand them with, t-shirts or putting the Scentsy buddies on their school bags. Oh my goodness, my kids have helped me sell lots of those throughout the year, and the buddies, and just by branding them with Scentsy products. So, your task for today. I want you to like this video, whether you like it or not. Please like it so that I know you've watched it. these are mandatory tasks too, to use your notebook, and I want you to create a list of things to do for each day for the next week, and prioritize them, highlight the most important, and tick them off as you go. That's number 2. Number 3, I would like you to comment on something that I've said that's resonated to you that you would like to work on this week. And number 3, I would like you to share your life hack tips with us of what you are already doing that helps you to balance your family life with your business as a stay-at-home working mum, or as a businesswoman who is also doing Sensi and also being a mum, or whatever it is that you've got going on. Please share what you do to make the balance work. I know we can do this, to work at finding that balance and what works for us and our individual families and situations. I look forward to seeing your involvement in these tasks, and I am excited watching you guys progressing and the enthusiasm that's still there as we are all leaping for lead. I will talk to you again tomorrow.